Welcome to Taking Stock. I'm Amanda Lang. Coming up on the show, businesses have a lot to worry about, from inflation to labor shortages, and their worry is only growing. Plus, is the bottom in sight for real estate? That's bad news for a lot of people who wish prices would fall even further. And when the people who invented artificial intelligence sound a warning on it, we might want to listen. That's all ahead. First, for the week that was in business, it's time for the briefs. Canada added 35,000 jobs in March, while the unemployment rate held steady at 5%. Meanwhile, wages gained more than 5%, a sign that price pressures could continue. On the plus side, the gains in the month were mostly in the private sector. The strong jobs market keeps the pressure on the Bank of Canada, which is in wait-and-see mode on interest rates. More data like this could spell further rate hikes from the central bank. Businesses remain gloomy, but slightly less so. The Bank of Canada's quarterly survey of sentiment shows that while it is way down from a year ago, business leaders are slightly more upbeat than a few months ago. For instance, while about half see a recession this year, 2/3 took that view at the end of December. And while 79% see inflation running above 3% for the next 2 years, that's down from 84% previously. The number of offices sitting vacant in Canada is at an all-time high. Commercial services firm CBRE said the 17.7% vacancy rate comes as employees continue to work from home. In Toronto, office occupancy rates are just 43% of pre-COVID levels. That's despite warnings from some business leaders that the trend is bad for productivity and culture building. Rogers and Shaw have officially sealed the deal, ending 2 years of negotiations with regulators and the government. The $20 billion agreement will have some strings attached, including promises to keep a head office in Calgary, hire thousands of workers, and invest in 5G. Also part of the agreement to give Videotron access to its network so that its newly acquired Freedom Mobile can act as a real competitor.
This transaction will open the door to a fourth operator, a real one that will be able to operate on a national basis, certainly on BC, Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec.
Tesla sold a record number of cars in the first 3 months of the year as a 20% price cut helped spur sales. The company hoped the lower cost from $65,000 US to $54,000 would spur sales and help it reach its 2 million cars sold goal this year. But the lower price, it also eats into its returns, and a weak economy seems to be taking a toll on car buyers. A surprise cut in production by members of OPEC sent the price of oil higher this week. The oil cartel agreed to cut the oil members produce by 1 million barrels a day starting in April. That could keep oil prices higher and ultimately send the price of gasoline back up, just in time to pile on to the usual summer increase at the pump. And those are your business briefs. Well, as costs continue to rise and interest rates take hold of the economy, many businesses are worried about what lies ahead. We're checking in with one established firm as it heads into one of its most important seasons of the year. Jason Tasse is President and COO of Lee Valley Tools. Jason, thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
So we saw from the Bank of Canada survey that businesses are still worried about inflation, still worried about labor. How is it for Lee Valley? What kind of shape are you in?
Well, competition's pretty stiff right now. Discretionary spending is pretty challenged, and though the supply chain has stabilized and consumer behavior is now predictable again, the competition for sales is quite high.
Where are you seeing most of your competition? Is it from big international players that are in our market? Is it Amazon, or is it other local dealers?
It's a combination, but local dealers in particular, people are lush with inventory, looking to offload quite a bit of it from their deep buys over the past few years. And Lee Valley, we're not a discounter. We try to compete on service and technical knowledge, so it's coming at us from all angles.
What about supply chain issues, Jason? We know that for a lot of businesses that also was a bit like whack-a-mole, where you just sort one thing out and another problem would arise. How has it been for you?
We're seeing the normalization of the supply chain. Freight costs are coming back down, and supply is flowing at normal rates. But material costs and cost increases are still coming at us fast and furious. They're pretty intense. We're 2,200 items with 15% price increases just in the past few months. So material and labor seem to be the cost these days.
And how is it on the labor front? We know it's a very tight market. Are you having a hard time getting? Because I also know that Lee Valley has labor's important, right? That point of purchase service element is a big deal.
Yes, we're both retail and manufacturing, so we have the labor force in Canada, about 1,000. We've been fortunate, though. We've adopted a very flexible labor policy. We kind of threw out the playbook of the past. We're willing to train people and skill them up. And we've been pretty sensitive to a competitive wage. Lee Valley's always prided itself on paying above minimum.
And of course, one of the fears identified by your peers is that a recession's on the way. Where is that in your thinking, and how, if you can plan for it, how do you plan for it?
Well, our assortment is hobby and craft, and it's not as exposed to a recession. In good times, people buy tools, and in tough times, they retreat to hobby and craft and gardening. For us, we've always counted on a tough economy. We knew that that's just what we've been planning for, and we're really focusing on the value purchase at Lee Value. Like tools you won't regret and activities that you can enjoy.
So, give me a sense of: are you back to pre-pandemic life, or is it just a new normal for Lee Valley?
Well, I'm not scratching my head in leadership team meetings anymore, wondering what's coming tomorrow. So I would say normal in that sense. It's now all about protecting margins and trying to work in the increased costs, so that we're not passing everything along to the consumer, and that we are continuing to pay our employees more at the same time.
Jason, it's so good to have you with us. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Jason Tasse is president and COO of Lee Valley Tools. Coming up, are real estate markets finally bottoming in Canada? Prices are still not soft enough for some. Stay with us.